Hi. Hi. So, hello everyone. So, today I will be presenting the last activity for CompTIA Security Plus for finals. Okay. So, this is about data protection and implementation. There will be 4 exercises that will be covered in this lab. Okay. So, exercise number 1 would be data breach. And then exercise number 2 is data classification and privacy enhancing techniques. Exercise number 3 is organization roles and responsibilities for data. And lastly would be the information lifecycle. So after completing this module, you should have the further knowledge of these following informations. It would take approximately 45 minutes to complete this lab. Okay. So this module only contains reading materials for this session. Okay. So exercise number 1. A data breach occurs when an authorized user or attacker gains access to sensitive, confidential, or private data. Following a data breach, a privacy impact assessment is conducted to determine the breach depth. So consequences of privacy breach. If not addressed properly, a data breach could result in material or non-material damage to organizations such as loss of loss of control over data, identity, theft or fraud, financial loss, damage to reputation, and loss of data confidentiality, then integrity, then etc. So a data breach can occur in various ways. Some common forms are access by unauthorized user of attacks, the unintentional release of data by data controllers, system or devices that lost that contain sensitive data, unauthorized alteration of data, and then lastly is loss of availability of data. Data breach notification. Different countries have different guidelines for reporting a data breach. As a general guideline, organizations should report a data breach no later than 72 hours after the breach is identified to a supervisory authority. So communication strategy. Determine what should be communicated to different stakeholders like associates, clients, business partners, employees, and the public. Okay. So exercise number 2 is data classification and privacy enhancing techniques. Data classification denotes the practice of different types of information, assets, and provided some guidance on to how they must be secured. So identity different data types. Data types can be classified as both private and public based on the value it holds. The first step in the asset security is to classify and label the asset based on the value. So what is sensitive data? Any data that is not public, then any type of data that an organization has value upon is must secure or adhere to law and regulations. Personal identifiable information. Any information can identify an individual's race, name, SSN, date, place of birth, biometrics, medical, financial, or employment information. So protected health information. Health-related information can be related to an individual. Then oral or written information created or received by healthcare entities. Then lastly is related to past, present, or future medical information of an individual. Propriety of data. Any data that helps an organization to maintain a competitive edge. If lost, it can seriously affect the primary mission of an organization. So classification. recognizes the value of the data organization. It also finds how the data owners can identify the proper classification and personnel must protect data based on classification. The classification authority is one who implements the actual classification to the sensitive data. Categorization method for identifying the impact due to the loss of CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability of data to an organization. And lastly, classification helps set baselines for information systems. So information is classified by sensitive, critically, or both. So sensitivity. Loss to an organization that the data is revealed to unauthorized entities. If organization lose trust or spend more efforts on mitigation response to loss. So critically, indicate how the loss will affect the data, the basic business process of organization. So here are some data classification guidelines. So, data classification, here are the data classification steps naman. There are 10 steps for classification of data. So, types of data classification. So, data in which disclosure is not welcome but does not impact an organization is called public data. Data that requires special precautionary to include confidentiality, integrity, and availability is called sensitive data. So, uh, the confidentiality of proprietary labels refers to any information that helps an organization maintains in a competitive edge. So personal identifiable information is any information that can identify individuals such as name, social security number, date, place of birth, and etc. So privacy enhancement techniques. Pseudonymization converts sensitive data into pseudo-random string. Okay? So hence, analytical correlation are still possible. So, pseudonymization is also called data tokenization. So, this means that processing of data can no longer be attributed to specific data set. Next is anonymization, is irreversible and refers to the removal of personal identifiable data that could lead to an individual being identified. Next is data masking. Is hiding confidential data like credit card numbers, social security numbers, etc. Data masking, also otherwise referred as data obfuscation. The limitation of personal data collection, storage, and usage refers to data minimization. Okay, roles and responsibilities. So, defining clear roles and responsibilities is essential in protecting sensitive, confidential, and private information. So, these are the following roles and responsibilities. Data owner. A data owner is A data owner is an individual or group generated, obtain, or purchase information that supports an organization's mission. So here, the data owner's responsibility. Owner must define, document, and following. Ownership, IP address rights, copyrights of their data, the statutory of and non-statutory requirements. Okay. So data custodian. Data custodian makes important data sets are created, maintained, and available within defined specifications. So a data processor is an individual or establishment that process personal data exclusively on behalf of the data controller. A data controller is an entity that controls the processing of private data. Then user are those who access information to complete tasks and should have able access data if they want to perform. And then a data privacy officer also referred to as a data protection officer, ensures organization processes sensitive data as per overseas policy. So other roles. So ito, system owner. Meron tayong system owner, security administrator, supervisor, data analysis, change control analysis. So here are some data policies. So data policy definition consideration. Considerations need to be taken into account when assigning data policy definition for a company. So ito. Okay. So now last is the information cycle. So information cycle, these are four phases of information cycle. So dito sa acquisition, meron tayong copied or created, system data, business process data are attached, information is indexed, access control of data, access implemented, rollback. So use, present the most challenge and protection, um, control to ensure internal consistencies, archival. Important to decide on need back for backups on how information is protected, need to decide on retention process, disposal. Data should be fully destroyed. So data backup is a copy of current data that is used to original data loss. So impact assessment. Impact, this refers to evaluating an organization's effectiveness by verifying the significance of any change introduced within the organization. Terms of agreement. This defines the guidelines, procedures, and policies that capture the acceptable behavior and other activities in the end user must comply in order to access. Okay, so lastly is the privacy notice. A privacy notice is clear statement defined by an organization on how its use retains disclosed personal information. Okay, so that's it for our data protection implementation. Now we'll be proceeding to the lab assessment. Okay. Um, so that's it for the final lab activity for CompTIA Security Plus. So um now we will be stopping the recording.